she came up to me and she was before the comp, she was like, I don't want to jump shit in the long jump. I went, no, you'll be all right. No, just as long as I don't jump shit. And I'm going, okay. You're going to have to define what that is.
Be specific.
Yeah. What is, you can't just chuck it out and, because everything then will be not very good. So it was kind of like, okay. So we had a decision that 6 meters 20 that would be, anything lower than that would be poo, and everything above that would be okay and acceptable. And we defined that. And she jumped over that. And she still came up to the fence. She went, that was still. And I was like, yeah, but it was, no, it wasn't. It's officially not. It could be better, but it's not shit. So this was kind of thing. And that to me is a message about, people go, I don't want to, but define it. Define where the line is, where above that I can praise myself, but below that I can castigate myself in some way or tell myself off. Then, where is it? Whereas people go, so often are always like, it's that. And you're like, is that a bravado thing? Is that a bravado thing, or is it actually, that's good, well done, that's par? So I always had this thing with the heptathlon event is there's par in each of it. That's where you need to be, 95% day in, day out, 98%. Anything above that's bonus. Ooh, I hit bonus, great. And you kind of do that so that you don't put the weight on the individual all the time. That because then it's a downward spiral and you won't stop it in terms of performance.
It's interesting that. Because the Toni Minichiello, the Toni Minichiello, from 2008, missing out on the Olympic Games, is now a different Toni Minichiello, the coach, post-Olympic, post-World Championships. And no, listen to you talking, yeah? Like, look at the changes that you've made. You now have a world champion on your hands.
Yeah, it's kind of, it's good. It's a great career, but if you maybe this is the last question, but there are 4 world titles in there and 2 Olympic medals, a European title, that kind of thing, a Commonwealth bronze. You look at that as a career and you go, wow. But the years that mean the most to me in terms of coaching are 2009 and 2015. Those are the 2 years, not the 2012, not so much. The World Championships from 2009 is the biggie. Coming back from injury, getting it right, putting it back together, creating change, putting more of a team around her and having that group of people around, because we always had this thing. By the way, I'm going to go on record now. People get it wrong, right? It was Team Ennis, right? It's not Team Minichiello. It's never the coach's name. It's the team. It's Team Ennis.
Okay, well,
Ennis. People always talk about, and they mention the coach's name. I'm like, no, I'm part of the team. I'm not the team. It's not my team. It's the team of the athlete. People get it wrong, like the coach needs to puff up their chest or something. It's not. It's about Team Jessica Ennis, or it will be Team John Lane, and it will be Team that. It's always about them, these little things. It's not about Team Minichiello. I see it so much, and it irritates me because I think I was first, and I think I've spoiled it. Because we always talked about that, and I was always like, no, it's about athletes at the middle of it. Don't get me wrong, it's a coach-athlete relationship, and it's basically it's athlete-centered, coach-driven, okay, but I'm a bit player to that, and it's sports science support. That's really the thing, and that's what you put around somebody. That's the crux of it, but it's delivering service to the athlete and judging that athlete, what their pluses and minuses are, where their gaps are, and how you add. You're still filling that jar. But it's their jar, not yours. So it's never about the coach.
Talk to us about the team. So who was the team around you? You do speak highly about the support that you did have in building and creating.
It's a good group of people. I don't think anybody's ever trying to do a bad job around that. And you find people who buy in. It's not about them. It's about what they're delivering from that. And that's tough to find because you do get, especially on the medical side, these gurus, these gifted hands, I can fix you, aha. And it's just, soothsayers, all these snake oil salesmen and all kind of things. They're offering you this magic bullet of that. But it's how you blend. Your job as a coach is to blend those things. So I got nutrition over here. I got physiology over here. I got medical. Oh, okay. What are we doing? So if you, in Jess's case, you've got a broken foot, fine, okay. I'm talking to the nutritionist about, we're going to train different. fine. Okay, so what do we do to help that? Because you're going to get sore. Okay, calcium, fine. Is that being looked after? Vitamin D, is that being looked after? Great. And then you got massage, right? If she's going to be sore, how often are we seeing you? This is your job. And you're giving out jobs. You've all got a really unique set of skills. So it's finding people who can work together and understand that they're a contributor to a big machine around that individual. And I was fortunate that having wheedled out a few, that we got a really good team. So medically, Dr. Richard Higgins as the doc, very good clinician, great clinician. He was really good. Then we had 2 physios, Rob Johnson, who was very, very specific about it, and a great study, and looks at it from a very mechanical, measured point of view. And you've got Alison Rose as a physio, who again is just as good, but he's a much more hands-on physio, feel and touch and what they bring. That blend of those 3, and then you bring in Derry, and everybody knows Derry, Magic Hands Derry, and what Derry does. You look at that as a quartet, and you're like, I got every base covered. I've got thinkers, great clinician, got hands-on people, who are looking at it, looking at different ways. And all I ever set them as a task is find me a problem before it's a problem. Find me something that might lead to an injury and fix it. I want a full MOT 2 to 3 times a year. Find me something. Look at this. Let's know this individual. And that quartet working together. Then you tack on nutrition, Mark Ellison, who's AJ's nutritionist, boxer. Anthony Joshua's nutritionist now, as well as Man United. So his credentials are huge, absolutely huge. Steve Ingham, physiologist, came in from time to time. Always brought in that new scientific little thing, and you were like, okay, what's new? He would bring that in. So, and then Pete Lindsay, psychologist, who's now at Manchester City, again brought in that measured approach, and so you start to put those units together, and then you bring an agent in, Jane Calmedo. From that, we'd had Tommy Yule initially as strength and conditioning, did a lot of teaching work, but then Tommy went off to be performance director and do all these other things, so lost that aspect. So I took that on more and more. But you bring that in and you go, this is it. This is what we're doing. This is what we're trying to do. This individual wins. We all get that sort of reciprocal, reflective glory. But it's not about us. It's about them. And if they do super well, your CV just looks better and better. And that's it. And you're doing that. You're always doing it. And of course, then you got Brycey, the measurement fella on top. Dr.
Shout
Paul
out,
Bryce.
Shout out, Dr.
for
Paul.
Brycey, legendary. Or Paul Van Bryce, now he's working in Holland. I think he's changed his name. But then you got Brycey in terms of biomechanics, measurement. Okay, what's new? What should happen? What should it look like? How close are we to that perfect model? So again, you bring all that, and they kind of get it, and it's how you blend that team. I think one of the problems with sports science is you get all these guys that are like around people now, and one's trying to outdo the other, and they don't really blend, to be honest. And then you get a problem at that point, because somebody will pull in a direction and it's contrary to this direction, or 2 people will be working at direct opposites without knowing, instead of bringing it together. So it's how you blend that. It's slightly organic. Now we get deep here.
Deep, it's fine.
It's deep.
It's
fine. Organic. So if you imagine it, they're like cogs in a machine. And at some point, if we're dealing with nutrition, then nutrition is a big cog, because that's what we're dealing with. But the rest of the time, when we're dealing about medicine, it's a small cog. But you need that cog to turn the whole machine. So it's understanding when, right, I come to the fore, I do my thing, now step back. And just blending it and keeping it together. So we started initially having like 2 or 3 meetings a year where I get everybody together in a room and we chat, right, this is what we're doing, this is a review, and so on and so forth. Then unfortunately that got stamped on, and it couldn't happen really through the governing body, because they got a bit precious under the personnel there at the time. And they were like, no, it's our team, we're in charge. And you were like, well, you're not really, but... So they always just wanted to be, and they kind of broke it up a little bit. So it didn't work. It didn't function as well as I'd have liked in the later years, unfortunately.
You know what's great though, listening to you just talk about how you put the team together, but also you speak highly about how they all were buying into it. Not necessarily, seeing how successful Jess was at the time or how successful she was going to become, but just buying into the whole, being part of this team Genis. And because you did have your own setup, like you did say, what were the challenges that you did face with the governing body? Because, you're not using their support system, so to speak. You've now got your own setup.
Because it wasn't world class. What was on offer wasn't world class. It wasn't cutting edge. It wasn't where it needed to be. I think everybody within my team at some point, either worked for the governing body and left, or they attempted to recruit them and didn't. But, so it's kind of like you need to seek out the best. Not only are they best at what they do, but can they blend into this group? Critical factor with any sports scientist you ever use is, does the athlete like them? Does the athlete respond to them? And if they don't, you can't really work with them. You might be able to break down that bridge, but, if we don't get on and they're in that relationship there, then it isn't going to work. So therefore, they won't be trusting of what's being given. So that's the critical piece that you have to put together. So again, it's finding people who have got the right level of humility and understand that they're helping along the way and so on, and give them the buy-in and, understand that this is family, like Don Corleone type family. That's what it's about. But, these are your roles. They're clearly defined and that. The difficulty was the governing body said, you don't need this. You don't need that. So I had lots of arguments with the head coach. You don't need that. You don't need this. You don't need that. No.
Because obviously there was talk a lot about, having to source support from either Loughborough or Lee Valley, at the time. Did you find you were button heads?
But that's because I think what you've got to recognise is that different people have different agendas, and it's like, what's their agenda? What's their goal? What's their outcome? And you kind of sometimes, and it was about making the mechanism look right, look good, give it credibility. I'm not here to give you credibility for your system. We're here to win a medal. So what you're trying to do is not what you really should be doing. And it's understanding that point that if Jess wins a medal, everybody's going to look good. You don't have to look like you're in charge. And I think that was the difficulty, certainly when Charles came in. It had to be Charles in charge. He had to be in charge. That's his personal makeup. He has to be the boss. I have to be the boss, so I have to impose myself on everybody else. And that's tough. That's just him. That's his personality trait, unfortunately. But, without realizing you can be in charge by letting other people be in charge. And that's how you do it. That's that kind of give. I don't have to be boss. I just have to be the plate spinner who goes, yeah, are you all right in your environment? You are, fine. And as long as that's working. At some point, there's a decision to be made, and I get that. Then make the decision when it's appropriate. But you're not going to make every decision. So you are a great leader by giving away the leadership. That's the critical factor for me. And especially when these guys are geniuses in their own field. So what do I know? How do I challenge on nutrition? I know a bit, eat regularly. That's the level of my nutrition.
It's important.
So, no, but yeah. But bits, but you go, and the other thing I often find with a lot of sports scientists is they want to explain it really complicated. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, no, explain it to me like I'm an 8-year-old, because I don't understand what you're saying. Whereas when I first started coaching, I would just nod going, yeah, you're so right. Yeah, I understand that. Wow, yeah. And inside I'm going, I have not got a clue what you're talking about, but I do not want to lose face. Lose face, just go, sorry, I don't understand that. You're going to have to explain that. Nope, still don't understand it. You got any crayons? Show me. That's what you have to do. And then you understand, and you're like, I get it now. I'm enriched. So, it's, you give away the leadership in order to gain the leadership is the whole thing with it. And it works better. It works better. I don't need to micromanage people. Right, what are you doing? How's he doing? Right. Is it still fitting with the bigger picture?
Thank you for listening to a preview of today's show. To hear the full episode, visit www.thehiddengreatness.com.